Hello, everyone. I'm glad that everyone is able to tune in to listen to my interview with Mr. Brandon King, aka Mr. Sneaker Shop Talk. Thanks for coming on and talking to us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me. I do appreciate it.
And
really honor.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And before I proceed with our discussion, you know, you bring passion to your work as a reviewer of athletic footwear of the popular variety, such as shoes from the Air Jordan brand, Adidas, and other popular Nike signature lines. Brandon is also in the process of creating a site filled with information on sneaker release updates, reviews, and other sports-related news. And in the meantime, check out his reviews on his YouTube channel, Air Jordan 14. So I guess I'll go ahead and jump right in and ask, you know, it's only fitting that we start by asking you this question. What started your passion for sneakers, and can you recall when it all occurred?
Yeah, and I guess, to be honest, it was really a thing that kind of started out of a utilitarian type thing. You know, because we were around the same age. You remember how it was back then. You got one pair of shoes at the beginning of the year. You might get another one at Christmas. That was it.
Oh, yes. I definitely remember those days. I remember.
You know, then once you got the Christmas, them old shoes became the play shoes. And, you know, you had to make them last. You might get a pair in the summer to get you through till school started.
That's right. That's right.
And see, what it was for me was that I was like, wow, it would just be nice to have a second pair of shoes at some point throughout the year so I wouldn't wear down my shoes so much. And to be honest, the shoe that kind of kicked this whole thing off of me was the original Air Bacon, actually.
The Tim Hardaways, right?
Yes.
Yes.
The one with the flame logo on the back.
Oh, yes, I remember those.
And I remember this. I'm probably going to date myself on this, but this is probably when Nike ads would consist of, the print ads I'm speaking of, would consist of basically them showing the shoe and then a phone number that you could call.
Yes, I remember that.
So I had this page. I had one of these print ads, and I wanted this shoe so much I would carry the print ad around with me. And I mean, it was weird. I had never really been into shoes or wanted a pair of shoes that bad. And one thing, I was so happy when I had a chance to get it. Finally. And I just, it just ignited. So I was like, oh wow, 2 pair is cool. Wow, 3 pair might even be better. And it really kind of took off from there. And I think another thing that fueled it was kind of being a sports fan, kind of watching sports, you know, starting off with football and then kind of getting into basketball. Watching the Bulls and all that stuff in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s, and started playing basketball and then kind of wanted to have a nice pair of shoes to play in, and then it just kind of grew and escalated from there, really. And then it was kind of the more I got, the more I wanted to know about them, and then it just really kind of just grew from there.
I think you practiced the law of attraction by getting those Air Bacons, by carrying that ad around. You visualized it till you got it, but hey, you got them.
Hey, yeah. So hey, the law of attraction does work.
Yes, it does. And that was one of the earliest examples for you. I'm quite sure. Yeah, and you know what? Was there any particular time in your sneaker collecting history that you felt that you hit your peak, that you felt like, hey, you know, I pretty much collected every pair, every fresh pair that I'm going to get. I can't do it anymore. You know, did you ever feel like you plateaued, so to speak?
You know, the closest I would probably say was probably maybe 2004. Well, probably around 2005, 2006. Because that was probably when I was quote unquote in my prime.
Right.
Because I was probably we were literally copping almost every release that came out. I don't know where the heck I got the money to do all that, but my collection grew. That was the fastest during that year. My collection grew faster than it did at any point during really my time in it. It was a good time. There was a lot of good releases that year, and it was actually really fun. And I was just like, wow, I don't know what else is out there. I mean, I was, buying a lot of course, the retro stuff back then. And I had amassed a lot of what I wanted. So, I would probably say that time, I mean, it was just a really crazy time. You get to a point where you're like, okay, what else is there out there for me? You know, from a sneaker standpoint.
Right. Yeah, and I know, I remember from a previous conversation that you and I had, you talked about there was an instance where you actually, you quit the shoe game for a short period of time. And would you kind of say that was a time when you feel like you just said, I'm done?
Well, to answer that, it was a couple of factors that kind of influenced that decision. I would say probably around late 2005, 2006, you started to notice the change in sneaker culture. When I really got ripping and running in 2003, 2002, I tell this story. When I went to get the first time they were retro, the white, black, and red 9, I was thinking, wow, I'd better get up early and get there to get my size. So when I got there, you know how many people were there when I got to Foot Locker that morning?
How many?
It was me and the dude who opened the store. It was it.
Well, you could have helped yourself. You could have cleaned out the store.
Yeah, I mean, it was only two of us there, and that was the way it was a lot. Even with stuff like last shots and the French blues and some of those releases, it would be only a handful of us. Because I'm thinking instant that jumps out when I went to get the Olympic 7, there were like 10 people at Foot Locker that morning. So it wasn't really an issue trying to get whatever you needed. You just had to make sure you got there early enough.
Now that is unheard of in today's time.
Oh yeah,
that's unheard of.
And not to sound like the old man, but I tell younger heads, it was a time where you didn't really have to line up to go and do that. Because even going back to I'm gonna jump back to answer your question. When I got my Concord, I just walked into the store one day and they were sitting there. And I'm really gonna date myself on this. This is when Foot Locker put shoes on layaway. And I walked in and I said, oh, snap, these are Jordans. Let me put those on layaway. And the guy was like, yeah, nobody's really dedicated to get them. Concord, the same shoes. You see how people act over that shoe now. Oh,
yes. And speaking of the Jordan 11s, not to cut you off, but I actually have a personal story too. It was late 2001, and the black and reds, or the breads, as a lot of us sneakerheads call them, they were up for release. I was able to get. I got up extra early with the same thought that you had, that hey, I got to beat the crowd so I can pick up this pair. Got there 7:30, 8 in the morning, and it was nobody in the store. I walked in, got my shoes, and came out. In today's time, there's no way that would happen.
No, that's unheard of. It's completely unheard of. But you know, I think, like I said, with seeing what not only you could see more and more people, of course, around that time, you know, the sneakers were kind of becoming a little more mainstream, at least our culture, to an extent. I started noticing even some slight changes in quality and things, which a lot of that I was kind of overlooking. But one of the primary things was kind of, and I thought it hit in other areas, I just became disgusted with the process of trying to get shoes, and not even necessarily from dealing with just the sheer volume of people. It was dealing with a lot of these shops in the local areas. And I think one of the things that for me that was kind of like the last straw, when I realized I'd probably be scaling back, it was two incidents. When the Ice Blue Tims came out, I'm dating myself again. Went in, was, you know, it showed up again. We were only 3 people in the store, mind you. So it wasn't, you know, a line or anything like that. Store proceeds to tell us that if we want to get the shoes, we have to buy a shirt or something to go along with it. Now, granted, they've already marked the shoes up $25 above box price.
Right.
But I really wanted this shoe, so I was willing to overlook that. And I said, but you don't have anything in here that fits me. So why would I buy clothes I can't wear? That's ridiculous. I just want shoes. Let me just buy the shoes and mosey on about my business. And so, long story short, you know, they didn't want to do that. So I bought them. And I said, you know, things are changing. The game has changed, and maybe it's time for me to move on to do some other things. And so, probably about, like I said, after the defining moments passed, I really just kind of scaled back on everything. And I probably didn't buy shoes for about 4 or 5 years, so about 2010. I didn't pick up anything for that period of time, just for that reason.
And well, I mean, it's obvious that now, you know, you wouldn't have the online presence today, and particularly in the sneakerhead culture, if it weren't for your, you know, return back to collecting and having that passion for sneakers again. And what was it that caused you to make a return, or was it that one particular shoe that said, hey, I got to get that, and it kind of snowballed from there? What was that? Do you get what I'm trying to say? What was that one moment that caused you to return?
Well, it was a couple of things. There was a friend of mine that I would play basketball with. Okay. And he kind of got me back into it. You know, he was still kind of buying stuff. You know, he'd wear this stuff to the gym, and I'd be like, man, I like those. And, you know, he was like, man, you know, you need to come on back into it, man. There's some great stuff coming out. And I said, well, you know how things have been. I don't know. And he kept wearing on me, and finally, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna dip my toe back in these waters a little bit. Yeah. And that was probably mid-2010. And I think there was 2 shoes. I bought a pair of 5, and it was a Philadelphia Kobe 4, and that was kind of what got me back into it. And I'd forgotten the feeling, I'd forgotten new shoe feel and new shoe smell. It had been so long. Yeah. And yeah, it's been good being back, and it's been fun in a lot of ways. It's been kind of strange. Well, not strange. It's been good kind of that time just sitting back and kind of watching things from 100 miles above, and then kind of coming back and, you know, in a lot of ways actually playing catch up on a lot of those things that I did miss out on.
Yeah, I understand it. And 2010, that was a time, particularly for Nike, that I can recall. Between 2008 and 2010, that's when they really started to implement the fly-wire technology in a lot of their sneakers, and they really started getting really innovative with a lot of the basketball shoes, like the Kobe's and the Kevin Durant's. They started making the shoes low tops and everything. So you jump back in at a good time.
Oh yeah, right around the time when the Hyperrise and the Hyperdunk came out, which were particularly for Nike basketball, those were game changers. Yeah,
very light shoes. And of course, it was around that time. That's when I, visited your page, probably 2010, 2011, and I noticed you had the reviews, and which gave birth to the whole Sneaker Shop Talk series. Could you explain the beginning and the current state of the movement that you created on YouTube?
Well, I'll say what prompted me to do this, and kind of what really got me interested in this is, and I was really influenced by a website that a lot of us remember, Kixology.net.
I remember that. Professor K, right?
Yes. And I think what he did back then, the reviews that he did, I mean, it spawned this movement from not only, and it inspired not only myself, but some of the other reviewers who are out there doing some great things. But I remember I would go to that website almost every day just to see, what was new on there. Reading about, how this shoe performed, how that shoe performed. And what I found that I had a lot of shoes that he had played in on the site, or I would acquire a lot of them. And I would find that when I played in them, I would notice a lot of the same things and things that he said held true. So when I came back to YouTube, and decided to kind of try to put my stamp on it, because Kixology.net wasn't around at that time, and there weren't too many of us out there doing it. At least that I'm not aware of. I certainly don't claim to be the first or anything, or the greatest or whatnot. But the first shoe I did, I think it was either the Hyperdunk Low or the Air 3. And so one of those was the first review that I ever did. And I know it was one of those because that was when I first started the channel. And you can't post videos for more than 15 minutes. I could break them up into multiple parts. But did those first two reviews, and the response seemed to be pretty good. A lot of people say that they enjoyed it. They thought the information was sound, and it helped them out. So if there was a shoe out there that I was curious about from a performance standpoint, I would get it and play it, and then upload my thoughts on it to the channel. And that really kind of led me to think, well, I should probably launch a standalone website for this.
Cool.
Kind of where I can kind of just have my own piece of internet real estate, so to speak, so I can post all the shoes I want and however I want, do additional things outside of the YouTube channel. So with the website that we're trying to put together, that's kind of what we're looking to do.
Yeah, and I recall when you mentioned the Air 3s, those are the retro Kevin Garnett shoes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I remember I had a pair, and I still own today, but I wanted to get a review on the shoes and how they performed and everything, and that's how I found your videos. So that was a little personal story I had.
Okay.
Yeah, and the rest is history. But, speaking of retros, this wouldn't be a discussion about sneakers and the entire sneakerhead culture without me mentioning the whole retro craze, you know, that has not only single-handedly kept the athletic footwear industry afloat for the past 10 plus years, but has also allowed it to flourish. I personally feel that the whole retro craze has really messed things up for the diehard sneaker enthusiasts who collected their kicks responsibly, you know, well before this whole phenomenon took place. And do you care to share your insight on the whole quote-unquote retro craze and how much of an issue that it has become to the point to where it has evolved into almost an immoral issue in the eyes of many folks who consider themselves socially aware?
Yeah. Wow. I do have a lot to say on that.
Speak your mind.
Specifically, just in terms of sneakers, I think the retro thing has been good, like I said, from the standpoint of it has brought a lot of people into sneakers for both good and bad reasons, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yes.
But I will say I think it has kind of, for a while, it was definitely overly retro-driven. When I think, personally, retro or the retroing thing should be kind of an ancillary thing of a company's catalog or whatnot, and not the prime driver. Because I think there are a lot of great shoes that are out or that came out that were overshadowed because you know, they weren't old enough. They didn't have the hype around them, so to speak. And I think because of that, like I said, not only the shoes went under the crack, but it did kind of go overboard. And I think that, and I've always said this, I think that how it was when retro at first started, you should go back to that. You know, just do it maybe a few times a quarter. To kind of to make it mean a little more, rather than just like boom, 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 you get hit over the head every week with something else. You know, and I think in some ways it does kind of water it down because with so many releases, you don't even have time to enjoy the current release before, you know, there's 7 days later. And in a lot of ways, this is stuff that just came out a couple of years ago. So, you know, you don't even have time to really get all the wares out of the last release before the previous one has dropped. And I think that I would like to see it scaled back. While I do like having the chance to not only pick up stuff that I may have missed, be it, you know, I was too young or I was retired or whatever. I think that, you know, sometimes too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Yes, yes.
Which kind of leads me into the next course to answer the from a social standpoint. I think that it kind of goes into a point where people, you know, have which is kind of the problem with sneakerhead culture in the sense that, and I use that term loosely because the sneaker enthusiast is just be 100% about it. It's such a small segment of the overall sneaker buying demographic.
Correct.
We're a small minority because when you go, you know, there's a line say for a pair of 11.
Yeah.
I would venture to say that 3/4 of the people out there are getting them just because, you know, they're hot right now. It's a fad trend or whatever. You know, they're not getting them because, you know, they had the shoe back in the day or you know, they may have saw MJ playing them or whatever. You know, they don't have those stories behind the shoes, which a lot of the folks our age, even a little bit older, have. And without sounding like the old man screaming, "Get off my lawn!" I think that because of that, you know, that the thing where people feel like they have to have not only the itch thing that leads to a lot of people feel like, oh, I have to have this. If I don't, then it's a problem. Which, in some ways, has led to some of the foolishness that you'll see. You know, with people getting arrested for leaving children in cars and people fighting and tearing up stores and whatnot just to have these items. And it's even fostered a certain criminal aspect because, you know, if a shoe costs, you know, $200, $100, whatever, $200 bucks, and there's all these people standing out there waiting, well, the criminal mind says, that's a few $1,000s right there.
Right.
I'm going to go get that.
Right.
So it's created that, I think. I'll be honest, one thing I would really like to see, and I've heard this brought up on OSD, and I agree with, do away with release dates. Just do away with.
Yeah, just make them just a random thing. Surprise everybody.
Exactly. Like, bring back that wow factor of you walking in a store and seeing a shoe there. That would cut down on so many things you can't line up if you don't know the shoe is coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm totally for that. I'm totally for it, but I know from a business standpoint, the companies aren't going to do that because as long as the shoes are flying off the shelves, you know, they don't feel like anything was wrong. So they're not gonna do something like that to, you know, when they're making money hand over fist over hand over fist.
One thing I like to add to that, I personally feel as if, you know, the scrutiny that the whole, I guess, craze has gotten with, you know, people getting killed over shoes and, you know, robbing and everything. I think it's unfair to a lot of, like, the old school or like the true diehard sneaker enthusiasts like yourself and me and many others that we know in the sneakerhead community. I think it's unfair to people like us because we made our purchases in years past responsibly. We've never hurt anybody else. We've never, you know, done anything immoral that would, you know, hurt anyone or take anyone's life. But because of the scrutiny now that it's received, I feel as if now all of us are under kind of a bright light, so to speak. So something we got to be mindful of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely has changed. There was never a time where, you know, you thought you could, at least in our time, you know, you could go by yourself to buy something and not have to slightly be concerned. Now that's potentially a hazard. Right.
And you know, not only are you a diehard sneaker enthusiast and an aficionado, so to speak, you also share an equal amount of passion for sports. What do you think that the sports and sneaker culture have in common, and what are the differences that you see?
I definitely think they go hand in hand. Particularly if we're talking about basketball, because those usually basketball sneakers are the most easily transferable to casual wear. I mean, nobody, you know, people are wearing baseball cleats in the streets.
No.
But you know, it's that, and then you're able to see the players. You know, you can see what Kevin Durant looks like. You can see what Kenny Hardaway or Jordan look like.
Right.
And there's a lot of us watch them on the court, and they had a certain it factor, not only because of even, you know, their athletic prowess, which made you want to kind of be like them on and off the court. Like, you know, if, you know, you like Kenny Hardaway, like, you know, I want to wear his shoes on the court. They look good enough where I can wear them off the court, too.
Right.
And, you know, I think that's what kind of created that popular culture or non-sports related or non-sports arenas. And I think that, you see more of that today. I think more it's just continued to grow from what it was back when I was younger. But a lot of it is clever marketing, of course. I think that. What was the second part? What you want to say?
But basically, what do you see any differences or contrast between the sneaker culture and sports and everything, and the culture surrounding sports?
Yes, it's gotten both have gotten younger. I'm going to speak primarily looking at basketball. It's gotten younger. If we're looking at from a professional standpoint, people are getting in the NBA younger and younger than ever. And people are getting into sneakers younger and younger than ever. I think, more and more little children, they have on all the newest kicks.
Yeah.
So whereas back in the day, it was kind of, I call it you had to work your way up. You start with below and then you work your way up to state.
Yeah.
Comparatively speaking. So you've got that. I think that's because you've got a lot of the parents. Some of them, of course, are older, sneaker enthusiasts. Some of them, I'll say, maybe hype beast or whatever. And so they put their children in the same shoes that they've got. And, that kind of starts from there. As far as a different standpoint, I think a lot of the difference that I would say would probably be, of course, from a technological standpoint, things change. Taste change. Brands come and go, and in today's arena, they come back. As you see with the Ewings and some of those other things that are back stronger than ever. I think there's a lot more choices for people on the sneaker buffet, and with the advent of the internet and all those things, it's easier to get them than ever before.
Yes.
Which I think in part is right. So you see some of these Chinese brands. I'm seeing more people, not in person yet, but post pictures of them wearing weight of waves and things like that that I've ever seen. That you probably wouldn't see that, years ago.
No, you wouldn't see that.
You couldn't get the stuff, and I think the internet is one of the things that has really opened up and changed sneaker culture and sports culture because of, the globalization of basketball, which kind of started from, the Dream Team and Mike Jordan and all that type of thing. So I think from that standpoint, it's more open than ever. You can pretty much get wherever you want nowadays, whereas it was a lot harder years ago. I mean, you had to really, kind of work, connect, and put it out there and really work hard to get things, and it's easier than ever. There was no eBay 20 years ago.
No.
So for that, I'm glad for not only the younger enthusiasts, but even people like myself that still have the opportunity to get all of those things that they miss. So from that standpoint, it's a great time to be in sneakers. If you're one of those people like me who say, man, quality of stuff sucks, man.
Right.
And there's some truth to that. Some of it does. You can find older, better made, wearable pair or whatever it is that you're looking for. So it definitely it makes things, whatever lane that you're trying to get in, it's something there for you. And I think that's good. I love that part of the game.
And you know, it's obvious to our listeners at this point that you give performance reviews on athletic footwear. So do you place any value on the looks of an athletic shoe in conjunction with the way that the shoe performs?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Not as much as I should. You know, I kind of, you know, kind of that whole Deion Sanders mantra, you look good, you feel good, you play good, all that stuff.
Right.
But, you know, I think now I'm more, when I look at a shoe, I'm wondering how does it perform first and foremost. So, for me, if we're speaking of my collection at this point, I have enough movie shoes, so I need to know if this is a ball shoe, does it do what I need it to do? You know, the whole complexion of my collection has changed. Whereas it used to be you would wear a shoe and then play in it, I can get the shoe, play in it, and then I'll wear it, you know, casually once I'm done with it. So, the looks to me in a lot of ways are secondary to how the shoe actually performs.
Yeah.
I don't wear as much casual anymore. I'm usually in the gym or on the court or doing rehab stuff or whatever. From a technological standpoint, and then the aesthetics kind of come secondarily to me.
And what are some of your personal favorite pairs in terms of performance reviews?
That I have done, or just in general?
That you have done, like just based off of, you know, your personal reviews, and your wear testing of the shoe. What are some of your personal favorites in terms of how they perform?
I would say probably the Hyperdunk 2010 comes to mind. The first Hyperfuse, that was a favorite of mine. This is one that I did, but I did it years ago, but I never, you know, done a review on it. And this will surprise me. It was the Kobe 2.
Okay.
That was actually really good performance. Once you break it in, that's a really good shoe. If we're speaking of shoes that I've done, the Kobe 6 really stands out for me.
Yeah, those are great shoes. I own 2 pair myself.
I tell people this, and I have a video that I'll go into more depth. But that's right now, that's in my top 10 all time.
Cool.
I was that impressed with the performance of that shoe.
I could understand why you enjoy the Kobe 2s, because they had, if I'm not mistaken, they had the free technology in them, or the bottoms had the real flexible material that a lot of the Nike free running shoes had.
Oh no, the Adidas Kobe 2.
The Adidas Kobe 2.
Kobe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Kobe joint. Because when I was still in retirement when the Nike Kobe, the new Kobe 2 came out. I played in the Kobe and the Kobe 2, and I know it looks crazy, but I thought the shoe was a very good performing shoe. Since once you just get past that stiffness issue,
Right.
but I would say personally, if I have enough pair to do it, but the original Air Jordan 14 to me is the greatest performing basketball shoe I've ever played in. Hands down.
Hence the name Air Jordan 14 for your YouTube channel.
Yes, that is why. That's my favorite shoe of all time. That was my first pair of Air Jordan, and I love that shoe so much. The first pair I ever had, I played in that shoe for 2 years straight.
Ironically, they were my first pair too. Back in 2000, I believe, I was able to get my hands on some. I was in high school, and they were actually the black and reds that Mike wore in Game 6 of the '98 Finals when he hit the last shot.
Yeah.
And for those of you all who don't know, the Air Jordan 14s are known as the last shots. Those are the nicknames for the Air Jordan 14s. And it's also funny that the inspiration for that shoe was a Ferrari. One of which was in Jordan's collection. He loved Ferraris, obviously, but pretty cool facts about that shoe.
Yeah, I mean it's a beautifully crafted shoe.
Yes, it is.
And it was one, you know, from an on-court standpoint, it just does everything you need and want a shoe to do, and it does it exceedingly well. And I know there's a lot of shoes out there now that you know that perform well, but that shoe, I have had very few, at least in my opinion, to top that. There's some that are right up there, but I haven't had any that top that as of yet.
Man, that's a very impressive shoe.
You know, that could change. You know, I'll be doing a lot more reviews here as I continue my recovery, so we'll see.
And you know, while we're talking about the Jordan brand, what is your take on the future of the Jordan brand? Because it's been under a lot of scrutiny in recent years because of the obvious radical changes that Nike has administered to the Jordan line. And what direction do you think that they're heading towards right now?
Honestly, you know, I think they're going in the right direction. I think they're kind of getting back to their performance roots in terms of them focusing on performance and trying to be the premier basketball performing shoe out there. And I love it, and I think that's totally the right direction to go in. You know, I think a little bit they kind of lost their way. And, you know, that happens from time to time. But, you know, I think, you know, looking at at least from the experiences that I've had, both pre and post injury, I thought the 2010 was solid. The 2011 was actually a good shoe. I've done a little bit in the 2012, and so far so good with that. I have not gotten my hands on the 28th as of yet. But like I said, I was on the shelf when those came out, so no point in buying them at that time.
Right.
Plus they were a little expensive. And all indications are that they're continuing that trend with the 29,
yeah,
which I like. And you know, that's a shoe I want to play in. So I hope they continue this. And even just outside of the game shoes, looking at the M10 and the Chris Paul shoe, you know, these are also shoes that are definitely performance oriented. And I think when they get back to that and continuing to do that, all the other stuff that they're looking for, it'll fall into place.
And they're very awesome shoes, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what new products going to be released from the Jordan brand, and especially for those of us who still love the game of basketball and enjoy playing the game. You know, we've seen many classic releases from various brands over the years, and tell us about some of the newer brands that people should pay more attention to as opposed to the old guard like Nike, Adidas, Reebok. You know, there's a lot of upstart companies that are releasing sneakers now.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of, and we kind of touched on it earlier with the advent of some of these Chinese brands. You know, Dwayne Wade made some waves when he left Jordan brand 2 years ago to sign with Li Ning.
Correct.
And you know, they put out a couple of shoes already. You've got Peak, which a lot of people on the low in the NBA wear. People like Tony Parker. I believe Kyle Lowry wears Peak, and Shane Battier, of course.
Kevin Garnett does too, I believe. I believe Kevin Garnett wears the Peak shoes as well.
He actually wears Anta.
Anta, okay.
Yeah, he left Adidas, I think the year through the years they were in the finals, 2008, 2009.
Okay.
And he signed with Anta. Kevin Love is with I forget the name of it, the company he's with. And then you've got companies like Ball and Footwear, who was most famously worn by former Laker Nick Pacer and Bull, and Sacramento King, I want to leave that out. Metal World Peace. So there's the IKEO, just to name a few. So there's a lot of brands out there, and a lot of these, they don't make shelf products. They make pretty good performing footwear. It's just a lot of times, it's all you hear about is, is Leave It to Beaver trends, or Adidas, or now I would say Under Armour has kind of shifted into that third spot. And then there are a lot of other brands out here that are putting out quality products. And because of that, you will see on both the YouTube channel and the website, you will see proper attention given to some of these lesser known, lesser publicized brands. Just to let people know that there's a lot more options out there than just, the swoosh, the three stripes, or Under Armour. Right. And even Under Armour is actually putting out some good stuff. They've got Steph Curry and some other guys, and they're actually putting out some really good things.
I kind of feel like it's getting back to the 80s, where there were a lot of sneaker brands to choose from for basketball players. Like, of course, you had Nike, Adidas, Reebok. You had New Balance. James Worthy wore the New Balance. Dominique Wilkins wore Brooks, if I'm not mistaken. You had, I want to say, Etonics. That was worn by, I think, the Kembe Mutombo might have worn the Etonics. I'm not for sure. I have to look that up, but I mean, there was a lot of variety back then, and we're starting to see that again now.
Oh yeah, and I think it's great because I'm a firm believer that competition brings the cream to the top.
Right.
And I think knowing that will cause everyone to want to step up their collective game. And I think ultimately the athlete, they'll be the one to benefit from that. So I'm actually excited from a variety standpoint, from a technological standpoint, some of the different things that these companies are doing, the various ways that they're solving the problems in their footwear. And I think it's a good time to be into footwear because there's so much out there.
Right.
The variety, I think, is great, and I'm definitely someone who preaches footwear variety. You don't want to get stuck on one brand.
No.
I like to give my feet multiple perspectives.
Brand loyalty, like a lot of people suffer from, especially when they're not getting paid from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is true. Unless you had signed a contract that they are cutting you a check, to say that you would only wear one brand is, to me, it's kind of ridiculous. Now, and I'm not criticizing someone. You like what you like.
Right.
But at the same time, it's good to kind of step out and try something different and, look at, something that you ordinarily might not have worn. You might have actually liked it. And I'm saying this because I'm talking to myself in a lot of ways because I suffered from that. I was a guy, I was all about primarily like 99% Jordan brand and Nike, If it didn't have a Jumpman or a swoosh on that, I wasn't trying to check for it.
I can relate. I feel you.
I mean, do I still like a lot of that stuff? Absolutely.
Right.
I think overall they're probably, I mean, them and Adidas are neck and neck. If we're speaking from a basketball standpoint, you know, one of the top brands out there. But there's some great stuff that Adidas is making. I have, you know, had the chance to start to, as I work my way back into playing again. I played in some of the Derrick Rose stuff, and I have been not only impressed, but I have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, and even, you know, some of the crazy clicks and some of the stuff from all in footwear. And I mean, a lot of this stuff is just a joy to wear. And I mean, I've enjoyed it immensely. And I think that kind of having that it gives you a better perspective on what's good, you know, from a performance standpoint, from just all those things, and just by having that perspective to know what a different type of foam, a different text, a different pitch feels like. You know, so you know, it's really, I say all that to say it's just a great time to be into the performance aspect, to be into the sneakers, because there's so much variety. You know, and I say this to my sneaker loving brethren: if you are mad with the brand, if you are angry, there's so many choices out there. Right. If you, the best way to show your disgust is to let the shoes stay on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know, when some of those shoes have to get RTV, they'll start listening then.
Yeah, nobody's forcing you to get any of these shoes.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm excited about a lot of things that are going on that end, and I'm looking forward to the journey of finding out about all of these brands that I haven't been as familiar with, and hopefully through what we're going to do both on the YouTube channel and the upcoming website, we will kind of expose more people to a lot of those other brands that they may not normally kind of be in their field of vision, so to speak.
If you don't mind, talk about briefly with your partnership with sneakertube.tv, and tell us what the website is all about.
Well, first of all, I definitely want to send a shout out to Premium Pete, Soul Survivor Detroit, and all those guys over there. I actually have been a part of the blog team over there for a couple years now. I am primarily, you will see, I will write mostly about, I will do write-ups of performance reviews, but I've been in the sporting section more recently. I haven't been as active as I'd like to be since I did back in school, but I will do my best to write, because I do have some sporting things I do want to write up on it. But basically, what sneakertube.tv is, it's like YouTube for sneaker enthusiasts, but it's basically it. You don't have to thumb through, you know, cats juggling or frogs getting blown up or whatever, you know. People doing reviews of basketball-wise and all of the minutia. You can, you know, if you want to see a video of somebody talking about the 3-lap fives or something, you know, it's usually it'll be right there on the front page. That I have a page there, and you know you can comment. You know, there's chat and all that stuff there. So it's kind of a website for us, by us, and I love that website. So you know, I was honored to still have, you know, to be associated with people like that and a great website like that. And it's still growing, and it's good to really see what's going on over there at sneakertube.tv. So, you know, everyone head over, check out the videos, check the blog out, and I think you'll like it.
Yeah, everyone check that out, and I'll be doing the same myself, which I already have, but I would recommend everybody go. It's a lot of really good material, a lot of information for those of you who may not be as knowledgeable about the whole sneaker industry or the ins and outs of how sneakers perform and everything. Definitely go over to sneakertube.tv for your reference in that regard. And you know, I've observed from watching past videos and Instagram postings. We're going to switch gears a little bit. I've observed that you're quite the artist as well. And how did that passion come along, and how long have you been in that endeavor?
Well, probably since I was small, you know, just going back to, you know, I mean, I'm old. They used to have these how to draw books, and anybody who's old enough and who spent time in the art section of a library in the 80s will know this name. It was by a guy named Lee J. Ames.
Okay.
And they would have, you know, how to draw 50 cartoon characters, and they would have, you know, everybody from Snagglepuss to Bugs Bunny to everyone, and it would take you step by step.
I remember that. I thought you were going to mention Bob Ross for a second, but go ahead.
And I would draw, you know, all of the stuff under there, and, you know, I had a short-lived business where I tried to sell those drawings, and even, wanting, like, because I'm actually, I was really good at comic books, for a lot of my teenage years, and I would actually, you know, draw and ink up and put together my own comic books. I wanted to be a comic book artist for a while there.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was getting into that, and even, you know, once I got into, of course, college and everything, you know, going into the art program, kind of wanting to get into the design aspect of footwear, and kind of going through that program and that process. You know, so I've kind of been drawing and kind of been artistic, I guess, almost for as long as I can remember.
Man, that's...
I do like the joy of painting. Bob Ross is awesome.
Bob Ross, that's classic, man. We're dating ourselves a little bit, but that's before our time.
It is.
Yeah, and man, it seems like not only are you an authority on all things art, sneakers, and sports, but you're also a representative of prepaid legal, which is also a very commendable thing that you're doing. Can you explain to those who aren't familiar with what PPL is all about, and how can they be a part of the PPL team?
Yeah, and actually they're no longer known by prepaid legal. We're known as Legal Shield. And I guess it's 2009, but really, I'll tell my story on that real quick. But I got involved with the company in 2006, and what brought me to them was a couple of different things. One, I was working a job that I wasn't particularly fond of, and didn't particularly pay me as much as I wanted to be paid, and you know, I was, you know, definitely looking to generate some additional income, and I answered an ad in the local paper here and went down to the local office and met with some wonderful people who are still, you know, dear friends to me to this day, you know, friends and mentors, and got started with them since then. I've been still with the company since January of 2006.
Wow.
And, you know, basically the mission of our company is to provide affordable access to the legal system. Because it's so expensive, you know. And I say this not to sound like a sales pitch, but because it's true. You know, you see the color of legality and justice in this country. It isn't black or white, it's green.
Yes.
You know, and typically if you have money, you know, if something goes down, you will still get to go home. It says you will get about as much justice as you can afford. And that's really the truth. And, you know, and a lot of times, I'm not talking about murder and mayhem and recklessness. You know, it could be, you know, dealing with, you know, a company that's not doing you right, you know. And you know, you feel like you just have to take it. And you know, you're not having anyone to turn to about these various legal situations. And that's really where, you know, we come in. You know, we provide, you know, nationwide access to some of the best law firms in the country, you know, for a very, very affordable rate. And not only that, you know, dealing with identity theft, and, you know, which, by the way, I have been a victim of.
Oh,
so
man.
I know what to deal with it firsthand.
Man.
You know, it's not fun. It's, you know, dealing with identity theft is something that takes over your life.
Yeah.
You know, we help people with that. You know, so, you know, they can kind of continue to continue to do what they got to do at the same time while somebody's helping them put their lives back together. And, you know, it's a good thing to have to introduce, you know, to find someone else or something, to have them come back and thank you, you know, and tell you how it's helped them. You know, when you get phone calls like that, I mean, you let you know whatever it is that you're doing, you're making a difference and you're in the right arena. So when I got those calls, which I still get, you know, it lets you know you're in the right, you're where you need to be. You know, you're really, to those people that you share the service with, you're making a difference.
Yeah.
And if you can help someone out in life, and, you know, you're doing it the same, and that's ultimately what you want to do. And, you know, I'm glad that we're able to do that. And you know, we help people, you know, through the membership or, you know, joining our agency. So, you know, we've helped out in a lot of ways, and we continue to do so. You know, just shoot me an email over at my business email, which is King and Associates, which is the name of our firm. That's King and ASSOC, which is abbreviation for Associates at yahoo.com. And, you know, we can schedule, you know, a time and we'll show you everything and, you know, see if there's a fit there to join our team. But, you know, we're helping out a lot of people, and, you know, that's ultimately what it's all about.
That's great stuff, brother. And as you all heard, go over to Mr. King's email and contact him, King and Associates at yahoo.com, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you have any legal issues, or if you want to prevent any legal issues, please contact this man. This man has obviously years of experience under his belt with the company, and he'll definitely steer you in the right direction. And, you know, on a lighter note, what can we be expecting in the future from you, Mr. King, and any projects that we should be on the lookout for, or what do you have cooking up for us?
Well, primarily my two main, from that standpoint, are, of course, getting the websites built and launched, and that kind of is kind of my main drive right now. Trying to get that done, trying to get 100% healthy with my knee and everything, so I can get back to playing more regularly. So there's a lot of shoes that I plan on reviewing. They can look for that. I will say a lot of it'll be newer stuff, of course. but it will be some older stuff that came out when I was hurt. And for those of you who don't know, I had ACL and meniscus surgery December of 2012. So I didn't play any last year as I recovered. So I'm coming back on the mend. So there were a lot of shoes that I wanted to play in and didn't get a chance to. And so you can be on the lookout for some of those. And get on all footwear things, old and new, the website, and kind of delving into doing some sports things as well. Down the line, we'll be looking to launch a sports website, and with that, we'll be really looking to kind of focus on HBCU sports. We'll focus on we'll talk about all sports, but that's going to be one of our focus. As a graduate of an HBCU myself, the fine Tennessee State University.
Tigers, right?
That's right.
TSU.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Much respect.
You know, I think that mainstream, the only time you will see them get some shine is when something goes wrong.
Right.
It's when I first got there, TSU was on SportsCenter twice. When one of the assistant coaches brought a gun to practice, and when they got in a fight with Eastern Illinois, and they got into this big brawl. And I think that we need to kind of, from that standpoint, tell our own stories, be our own media, and not rely on the mainstream media to give our institutions some shine. I think ultimately that should be our job. And that's one of the things that we're on the site there. But that's kind of one of my pet brain projects right now. That's sometime down the road. I've had some preliminary meetings with some people in regards to that, but that'll be coming down the line sometime. So
yes, indeed.
Look for that way later. Look for that way later. It is coming.
Well, I'm sure whatever you get into, man, it's going to be awesome. I mean, and it's something definitely worth waiting for. And as we wrap this up, man, where can we find you? How can we contact you?
Like I said, you can catch me on with YouTube youtube.com / airjordanxiv, which is of course the Roman numeral 14. You can also catch me on Twitter and Instagram at Sneaker Shop Talk. We do have got a Facebook fan page. It's facebook.com / airjordan14 sneaker reviews. I'll post a lot of the videos from the channel, stuff from my Instagram, or just other updates there. We've got a lot of links. We've got a GoFundMe page for the website. So, if anyone wants to head over there, you can just go over to GoFundMe and type in Sneaker Shop Talk, and the page will pop up. Whether it's 50 cents, $1, or whatever, or even if it's just like sharing the page, that's, everything is appreciated. So that's pretty much how to get at me. Like I said, I try on videos. I try to answer every comment that I see. Sometimes it takes me a while, but I do answer all the comments. People. Ironically, Facebook is probably the worst way to contact me. Unless you write on, if you comment over at the page, I'm more likely to see it, but I'm rarely on Facebook, despite what my wall will say. It's connected to my YouTube and my Twitter, which I use a little bit more, so those are probably the best avenues to reach me at. Man,
that's great. And now you all know how to find them. I call you the authority on all things sneakers. Man, you're a genius. You're brilliant. And
oh, you're far too kind, man. I'm just a regular dude who likes sneakers. That's all.
And this thing is only gonna get better from here. If you think it's good now, it's gonna really take off soon. And I wish you well, my brother. And we're gonna talk again soon. And I appreciate everybody for listening in. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me on.
No problem, brother.